Okay.
I'm a fashion filmmaker.
Fashion. Okay.
Okay. I'm an energy specialist.
Energy specialist.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
I
Manufacturer. Okay. So I can't hear anymore. You are what? Okay. The mic is not working, by the way. Yes. Okay. Okay.
Hello.
Okay.
Hello, I'm a personal finance coach as well as a manager on Africa's leading hair remover brand.
Ah, okay.
Hi, I'm in travel and tourism.
Okay.
I co-founded a travel expense management platform.
Okay.
Hi. So I run a farm.
Okay.
I'm an ed tech
Okay.
startup founder.
Okay. Swam?
Okay. Hi, I'm a cosmetic scientist.
Ah, nice. Okay.
I'm a medical student who's
Ah,
just curious about the finance space.
oh,
Yeah.
finance. Okay. Like Picasso.
Okay, I'm a Web3 guy. I'm interested in Web3, blockchain, and also I'm into farming.
Okay.
I'm into manufacturing. I have a bakery and a water plant.
Okay. Okay.
Trade policy researcher and podcast producer.
Okay. Where do you work for?
Where do I work?
Yes.
So I work with a trade economist based out in Geneva
Okay.
to produce trade podcasts, and then I'm supporting a technical advisor for ECOWAS and AFCFTA at the Lagos Chamber of Commerce.
Okay. Interesting. We should connect.
Delegate logistics, shipping.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm a founder of an influencer marketing agency and also a brand consultant.
All right. Thank you.
I'm an artist.
Okay. Last sir.
I'm a property developer and I'm diversifying into fintech.
Okay.
And VoguePay.
Okay, thank you so much. It's nice to get to know us. I see that we have more business owners on this side, brands, beauty brand, fashion designers, stylists. And then we have more like corporate guys, startup founders, medical students, trade experts. It's a mix. It's a little bit of a mix. But today, because I have 40 minutes, I want to talk about intellectual property. And really, what I want to try as much as possible to do is how can you use intellectual property in your businesses to scale up, to scale across Africa and the globe. I mean, I want to believe that as many of us as possible in here already know about the African Continental Free Trade Agreement. Perhaps there was an initial masterclass on trade, or maybe some of the panel discussions I've talked about I've talked about international trade and how to move goods across border. But what we are going to be focusing on in this session is simply how to use intellectual property to scale, in simple terms. And before I start, what is WIPO? So WIPO is the World Intellectual Property Organization. We are a United Nations agency. We are the United Nations agency that administers the global administration of intellectual property. What we try as much as possible to do at WIPO is to ensure that there's a balanced intellectual property system, international. And we have a Nigeria office. And what we do at the Nigeria office is we try as much as possible to raise awareness and build capacity on intellectual property. We believe that intellectual property is very important and critical to your businesses. So in Nigeria, we try as much as possible to raise awareness on the importance of intellectual property, especially for businesses. So, WIPO, we have our headquarters in Geneva, Switzerland, and we also have 7 external offices across the globe, one of which is Nigeria. And the Nigeria office is pretty young. It's just 5 years since we've been in Nigeria. So moving on, what is intellectual property? Does anyone want to try? What is intellectual? Of course not you. I'm sorry. No discrimination, but not you for this class. Anyone else want to try? I mean, it's on the board, but in your own terms, in your own words, what do you think intellectual property is? Please try.
Personally, to me, I feel that intellectual property has to do with you know, your own creation, something that is peculiar to you, like your own invention or something like that.
I think I would say your signature, whatever you do or what you create.
You are right. Really, intellectual property is what you create, the creations of your mind. So you've like we have an example of a fashion designer in the room. You want to sketch. You said you design for older men 50, and you decide to create a new style that no one else has probably created, and you put some colors together to make your brand unique. It's the creation of your mind. That property, that asset belongs to you. So intellectual property, when we put it in layman terms, it's properties that are intangible, that you created with your mind. Where we are is a property, but we can touch it. It's a landed property. Those are tangible properties. The ones we can't touch, uh, the assets we can't touch that we have created are intellectual property, properties of our intellect, as simple as that. So there are so many forms of intellectual property, and I can see already in the room we have different people who owns different businesses have different forms of intellectual property in their businesses. So I'll talk about all the forms as it relates to our businesses, and then I'll leave the floor for questions so that we can wrap up in 40 minutes. The first form of intellectual property is trademarks. So, for instance, you have a brand and you're creating soaps and skincare products, and you want to export your skincare products within the African Continental Free Trade Agreement countries. Let's give the easier one. For instance, you want to go to Ghana, and your name is what's the name of your business, please? Huh? Okay, so Total Femilus. And then you've created a brand name called Total Femilus. That is your trademark, right? There are different types of trademarks, of course, word marks, sound marks, we'll not go into those depths. But now, for your own brand, you are trying to export to Ghana, and you have not protected that Total Famous in Nigeria. You have not protected anything about your brand in Nigeria, and then you've gone to Ghana to sell because you want to scale across Africa. When you get to Ghana, anyone can take your products and your name and use it because you are not protected in Ghana. Now, in Nigeria, that you are coming from, you're also not protected. So anyone can take your business and use your name, Total Famous, and start another business, and you have nothing to do about it. So trademark in simple is just the what distinguishes your business and your brand from every other businesses in the market. It could be your colors, it could be lines, it could be shapes, it could be word mark, it could be the sound, it could be the smell of your product. It's as simple as that. So for instance, if you sell this microphone, for instance, if the producers of this microphone decides that everyone that buys this microphone, when it gets to them, it smells like cherry chewing gum or it smells like strawberry, that smell distinguishes their microphone from other microphones, and that smell can be protected under trademarks. So there are different forms of trademarks that you can use. But in simple terms for this class, it is what distinguishes your business from other businesses. So it is important that when you have a business and you want to scale across Africa and even globally, you should protect your trademark at the very least. Protect your name. If you have a one-liner that distinguishes your business, maybe Total Feminos, the best skincare for women, you should try and protect it. And when you do that in Nigeria, you have to also understand that intellectual property is territorial. If you protect that trademark only in Nigeria, you are only safe in Nigeria. So the moment you step into the Ghanaian market, you have to also protect yourself in the Ghanaian market. And the moment you go to Namibia, because now you want to start expanding across Africa because of the AFCFTA, you also need to protect yourself in Namibia market. Sometimes it could be expensive to do all of this, but what I usually would advise is be very strategic. How many markets do you want to go to within Africa? Identify those markets where you have competitive advantages, and then go there and register and protect your trademarks. Do we get it? Okay. Another form of intellectual property is patent, and is the protection is what protects your invention. Something that is novel, something that is news. an invention or a creation that no one in the world has ever done before. I mean, for geniuses in the room, if you have an idea or you want to create something that anyone has never done before, perhaps in the nearest future, we don't need to use microphones anymore. We probably need to stand here and touch something, and everybody's voices can be as loud as possible. Maybe someone has done that already, I don't know. But in simple terms, what a patent is just that what no one else has done before, what is new, and you want to protect that, you can use a patent. So I think there's someone who says they are a cosmetic scientist or something in the room, right? So if you have a process in your business, maybe the process of making a particular product that is very new and no one has done before, you can consider patenting that process. If you have like food vendors in the room, or even in the process of mixing your cosmetics, some of your recipes are new. Like the process of creating that is new. No one has ever done it before. And you are sure. And how do you know that no one has ever done it before? There are patent databases that you can access, both in Nigeria and globally. You can check at the registries to see if someone has done this before. Because to even register a patent anywhere, you need to disclose. So there's a database of existing patent. There's a database of existing inventions that have been patented or that will be patented. You can check on that and see if what you are doing is new. And another expo I think we should give businesses is, if you really are also interested in developing something new, you also can check that database and see what is existing and see how you can build up on that to create your own new thing. And when you create that new thing, you have a patent. And in Nigeria, you can use that patent for 20 years. What all of this intellectual property does is to ensure that within that 20 years that you are protected, no one else can copy you. You can maximize the profit from that patent. But another expo for businesses is that within that 20 years, while you're enjoying the benefits of it, you can decide to license the patents. You can decide to license to another business at a fee. Of course, they pay you to use your invention, to use your steps. You can decide to assign it, you can decide to sell it, whatever you choose to do. But what is important is that you have a patent that you can use to make money. So intellectual property is a serious asset and a serious revenue generator. You hold it in your hand and you're good. So for 20 years, you are protected. After 20 years, it goes into the market. Anyone can start copying you. Do you get? Because now, as you can see, I'm very sure one day someone started like a full screen phone. What do they call it? Touch screen. It wasn't there before, but now there are so many touch screens. Someone started it, someone enjoyed the benefit of it. After a while, they probably started licensing and selling and assigning, and now we have so many phones. But after 20 years, anyone can do that. They are no longer protected. Before I forget and move on, for trademarks, you are initial 7 years, and then you have to renew. You have to initial 14 years, and then you have to renew. So another important thing about intellectual property is maintenance. After you use it, you have to continue to pay forever. So trademarks doesn't expire, but patents expires. 20 years, you're done. And copyright is as simple as it is. We have an artist or a musician in the house, I think. An actor. Fine arts, even good. So when you draw, when you write a script, when you write a music, Banky W is in the house. He has copyright ownership to a lot of his songs. Do you get? So whatever you write, whatever you create from your mind, you can copyright it, and it's automatic in Nigeria. You don't even need to register. The moment you write a book, not the one you stole or the one you like maybe copy from someone, the originality is coming from you. You were able to write a script, you were able to write a song. That copyright belongs to you automatically in Nigeria. In some jurisdictions, you have to register, but in Nigeria, it automatically belongs to you. I'm sure we all have seen that C symbol there. That gives you the copyright protection. And again, to some of the businesses in the room, if you have recipes, if you have the recipes that you are for your products, if you can write out your recipes and says that, okay, to make a shea butter body cream or body butter, you put this and this and this and this and this together, and this is how you arrive there. And anyone can repeat that steps and achieve the same thing. It's not like when we repeat it, it turns out to body cream today, and then tomorrow it turns out to something else. If you're able to repeat that steps and have a body butter, you can copyright the recipe in a book, online. It belongs to you, and as many people that want to use it, you can charge them to use it. So that's another way to make money from copyright. And trade secrets is as simple as the name is. It's a secret. It's between yourself and a limited number of people. So I would say that trade secret is the opposite of a patent. For a patent, you have to register it in a trademark in a patent registry, and you have to, sorry, give me a minute, please. um you have to register it, but for a trade secret you don't need to disclose. And a very good example of trade secret is Coca-Cola, and we all know it. I don't think anyone till today knows what recipe Coca-Cola has. So for your businesses, for if you have your recipes, instead of disclosing your recipe because you think your recipe is the best in the world and your body butter is none like other, then you don't need to disclose it. You just keep it to yourself. But for it to be a trade secret, you really need to keep it to yourself. So if your best friend knows about it, and your cousin from your mommy's side knows about it, and your gate man heard you telling some, it's no longer a trade secret. I mean, a secret should be within you. So there are some steps that you need to take for a trade secret to work, and it is taking all the measures and steps to ensure that you keep it as a secret. It also has to be a commercially viable business, because if you say, oh, I have a trade secret on how to make cosmetic products, this and this, and you're not, and it's not a business, and nobody can make money out of it, why are you keeping it a secret? It's almost a waste. Do you get? And also it has to be within a limited number of people. So for your businesses, if you really do have a trade secret, I know that there's someone who is a software developer, maybe tech startups, and if you have like some processes within your businesses that you think makes your business easier, and you don't want to disclose that, you can keep it to yourself, but ensure that when you are meeting maybe your investors or business people, everyone that would know about that is signing a non-disclosure agreement at the very least. Do you get? Or a confidentiality agreement, so that they are bound to not tell anyone about it. And if they ever do, they are in breach of contract, and and you can seek remedy or compensation in court for that. And geographical indications are products that are tied to origins. So I'm also like, what kind of products can we give? Examples of products we think we can give that are tied to any origin within Nigeria. There are so many. Cocoa? No. Okay. Sorry. Yeah, maybe, but not really. Yeah. But is there a particular product you can think of that is that originates from a particular region in Nigeria, that you can only get that product in that region? Adire, okay? There's so many. Mats. Where can you get mats in Nigeria? Raffia Crafts. Okay. The Aqua Ibom and the, yes? Okay, anyone? Obvious, there's some obvious one. Ogba. Okpa. Ogba. Okay. Some certain herbs. Okay, so what geographic indication just means are products that are originating from a particular origin. And I think obvious reason, I don't know if we all drink Gary in this room. Ijebu Gary. Can you get Ijebu Gary outside of Ijebu? I don't know how they make it, but that Gary just tastes the same across Ijebu Gary. Another one, Ogbomosho mango. Who has taken Ogbomosho mango before? You don't know what it is? Eh? No, that's Benue mango. And Benue mango also is very particular and unique to Benue. There's Unsuka pepper. There's Adire. There are so many examples that when you go to different parts of Nigeria, there are products that we can only get in that place. And why do we get that product there? Maybe the soil. So we can say maybe the soil in Ijebu, or maybe the soil in Ogbomoso has something in it that makes the mango taste that way. Maybe the Benue mango has something in their atmosphere that makes it taste that way. And for Ijebu Gari, there's a process in which they use to fry the Gari that led to it being that taste. And a group of women or a group of people knows about it. So that's what geographical indication is about. And it's funny because if you are in the fashion business in Nigeria and you use Adire, you're part of an association of Adire makers, you guys can form an association and say that, okay, we'll create a collective mark for this, and that collective mark can only be used amongst ourselves, the fashion designer or the producer of this Adire. So wherever the Adire goes to in the world, Ghana, China, they know that, oh, this Adire is coming from maybe Ogun or shown wherever they produce it, because this is the collective mark of the association that produces this Adire. So I don't think any business in here really has a tie to geographical indication, but it is one of the types of intellectual property that we can relate to the most in Nigeria, and it's very critical to economic growth, because imagine we are protecting all of these things. I mean, we wouldn't have to, I mean, you know what I mean. But then for geographic indication in Nigeria right now, there is no protection. We do not have a law, a bill, an act, nothing. And but there's work in progress to ensure that these are protected in the coming future. Industrial designs. I think everyone who has a business should know about industrial design. And what is industrial design? In simple terms, is the intellectual property that protects the product appearances, how your product looks, the shapes, the size, the colors. Very similar to trademarks, but very different. So trademarks will distinguish your business in the market. If you go to the market today, you know Milo is Milo because of Milo, the name. That distinguishes Milo from others. But the way Milo is, the way the package of Milo is, if for instance it is different, maybe the can is shaped differently, they can decide to protect the shape. For the Bonfita shape went different at some point. It became the round and the, yeah, that's industrial design, the appearance of your product. So when you are branding your product, you have the name that is already distinguishing you from others, but you can enhance that business, that product, by making it appear even finer. And any effort you put into making it appear finer, you can protect it, but it has to be new. You can't bring a normal plastic bowl and say, yes, I'm wrapping it differently, it is new. No, it has to be novel also. So you have an advantage, and I think that industrial design is one of the biggest advantages for you as you scale to other markets in Africa and globally. Because guess what, if they see your body butter in Ghana and it's the same as the other body butters, packaged the same, color the same, nothing fancy. I mean, it's just a regular body butter. If you go the extra mile and make sure that your packaging is different, the colors are unique, the colors are beautiful, it could just be that separates you from other body butters and make you sell more. I know a lot of ladies in the room. I would buy something because it looked pretty. Would any other one do that? Yeah, I would buy something because I bought an air stretcher because it was pink and black and it wasn't good. And I got an, I'm wondering, but why? I mean, I suspected it may not be good, but I love the packaging so much. I bought it. Do you get? So some people make decisions like that. And I'm saying that I know all of us in the room are already people who put in effort to produce quality things. So imagine you're combining the quality you're producing to branding very well. And industrial design in Nigeria is protected for 15 years. In some country, 20 years, but in Nigeria, it's protected for 15 years. And the same rule is applicable as to trademarks and as to patents. Because if you protect your design in Nigeria and you export to Namibia, a Namibian business can really steal your design if you have not been protected in Nigeria. So IP is very territorial. There's no global registration. There's not one global registration that protects you across all countries. So don't be offended when you've made all the efforts in Nigeria and your product is like the most beautiful and you're selling out. I mean, if I was in the room, Dank has very nice branding. You would want to buy it. They look beautiful. But if Dank left Nigeria and went to Namibia without being protected in Nigeria, anybody can start that business and they will get away with it, because you can't come to my country and tell me what to do. But if you have come to my country and you've complied with the laws and rules in my country, then you are fine. So please always remember that as you're protecting yourself in Nigeria, if you intend to scale, I mean, the reason why we're in this room is so that we can scale regionally and globally. You also have to be strategic in the markets you are entering into and protect yourself in those markets. Plant varieties is for the farmers and breeders. I know that we have like 2 or 3 farmers within the room who says, I have a farm. I have. So plant variety protection is very simple. It's like product breed. I was reading on Twitter the other day and I realized that banana wasn't banana. It became banana. Apparently, I didn't know that. So it was like maybe a species of something and something put together, and boom, we have bananas. And now we do not only have the green bananas, we have yellow bananas, we have red bananas, all sort of banana species. And you realize when you eat them, some are slim and they are slimy, some are fat and they are sweet. Some that's different species of banana. And apparently, thanks to breeders who make them what they are. Also, recently, someone brought to my office banana and apple. How did you do it? And apparently, our dad has been trying to breed something like that for a while. So, what the plant variety protection really does is economically to help us and protect us against food insecurity. There's been a lot of discussion around food insecurity in the world, how we may run out of food in some years if you are not farming enough, if climate change doesn't stop, if this doesn't stop. But what this kind of IP protection has done is to ensure that people are motivated to create new species of products, of food, every day so that we don't go hungry one day. So for the farmers in the house, if you want to breed something new, if you have a new process, it takes time. It takes time. This research takes time. If you're breeding something new, maybe you want banana to turn to yam one day, and you've been able to cultivate banana and yam in a way to ensure that in Nigeria we don't go out of food and we don't go hungry. Thanks to you, that process you are doing can be protected, and you can protect that using the plant variety protection. And for that, breeders are protected, your seed will be protected, and I think it's also for 20, 25 years, 15 years, depends on the country. Thankfully, in Nigeria, we now have the Plant Variety Protection Office. So there's an office that has been created to administer the Plant Variety Protection Act and to ensure that breeders in Nigeria are protected. There have been a lot of back and forth debate about GMO is good, GMO, all of that under the Plant Variety Protection Office. So for the farmers who may be inspired today to start breeding something, bear in mind that no matter how much effort you put into it, you have something to protect you, and that's the plant variety protection. Traditional knowledge, very similar to geographical indication, but also different. These are community-based knowledge. And what do I mean? In our small villages, we are all from a I am from a village, we are all from one village or the other before we came to Lagos. In our small villages, there are probably steps or ways that our grandmas and our grandfathers protected us when we were younger. I'm Yoruba, so I would say, did you drink agbo? Who drank agbo in the room? Exactly. And those are concussions mixed together with leaves, this and that. And our parents were able to create something for us to drink that made us feel better whenever we have a fever or malaria. These are what we call traditional based knowledge. Although not protected in the usual way, but there's been a lot of debates by traditional communities around the world saying that some of these patented ideas are even coming from them. So how can we protect these communities? How can we protect our traditional knowledge? It is why we have come up with this traditional knowledge, traditional cultural expression, and genetic resources. A very good example I want to give. There's a small village in South Africa. There's a seed that if you take that seed, you won't be hungry. It suppresses your hunger, and then you can lose weight. Of course, everybody now wants to stay in shape. So that particular seed was taken by a company, those big companies, Unilever them, and they were able to convert that seed into a slimming tea, which they started selling. And of course, they started making money. And they patented that process because it's new. I mean, there's a tea that makes you not feel hungry the whole day. That's genius. But apparently, this seed was taken from a village in South Africa, and these villagers came and said, "But this belongs to us. This is our idea. This is our process. We've been doing this for years, hundreds of years. So at the very least, you should acknowledge the fact that this was taken from our community." And things like that, discussions like that, incidents like that, is how we have gotten to having traditional knowledge as a form of IP protection. So for people who are going around the streets and you think that the mango leaves can be combined with the guava leaves to make your skin smooth, and you've gotten the process like that, you can also have your own protection. Just saying, if any of the farmers or cosmetics people want to think along that line. So these are the common forms of intellectual property that we have for now. Of course, it keeps expanding, and this is just how they relate into our business. I personally think that almost every business has more than one form of intellectual property in their businesses. If you have a business, automatically there's a trademark because there's a name, there's a one liner, there's a logo. If you have a business, automatically you're thinking about industrial design because you want your brand to be seen differently. You want to enhance your brand. Sometimes you have copyrights because the way your Coca-Cola is written, or the way the way your recipes are documented can be protected. So I really feel like we all have different forms of intellectual property in our businesses. And while we are scaling abroad, what is important for us to remember is intellectual property is territorial. It doesn't protect you across. So, and what we do at WIPO is that we have a global system for IP protection. It's not automatic. So if you want to be registered in Nigeria and across like 10 extra countries, you can come to WIPO and use our registration system, and we can help you register across board. Within Africa, there's a good example. We have ARIPO, we have OAPI for the French speaking countries. You can also use those regional organizations to protect yourself. So we have the Madrid system for the protection of trademarks. We have the Patents Cooperation Treaty for the protection of trade patents, and the Hague system for the protection of industrial design. Our Nigeria, sadly, for trademarks, which is one of the easiest form of IP that people register, is almost automatic. You have a logo, whether you like it or not. You want something to distinguish you, right? Nigeria is not a part of the Madrid system. And also, Nigeria is not part of ARIPO or OAPI. So it means that when you want to scale to Namibia and when you want to scale to Ghana, you have to do the legwork of going to this country personally to register. So for now, we are not a member of those international and global system. But please take the efforts to get a lawyer. There are so many intellectual property lawyers that can help you to get a lawyer for you to register in those businesses you want to maximize within the FTA. Also at WIPO, some support tools that we give to businesses so that businesses will need more questions. I mean, 40 minutes is not even enough to talk about patents alone. It's not much more to talk about all the forms of IP. Do you get it? So after today, we have these tools that we can share with the organizers of the event. If you need more questions or more clarity about intellectual property and how they relate to your businesses, you can use one of these tools, especially the diagnostic tools. What the diagnostic tools help you to do is to see what stage you are in your intellectual property evaluation. And then we have some business guides that helps you to develop IP strategies, because as a business owner, some of us, you will start your business, you don't think about IP. You're thinking about how to make money, how to expand, but you're not really thinking about cultivating an intellectual property strategy into your business strategy. And that is very important. Should be at the beginning of your product. How do I identify my intellectual property assets? How do I protect my intellectual property asset? And how do I enforce and monitor it? Because it's not just for you to protect. When you're protected in Nigeria and you are protected in Ghana and Namibia, the work continues. You have to monitor. You have to ensure that nobody is copying you or infringing on your IP. So it's really a process that you should be thinking about at the very beginning of your businesses. And at WIPO, we also have a lot of IP awareness projects. So we did a branding project for SMEs last year / this year, where we trained businesses in the field of cosmetics, food and beverage, and ICT. And what we're trying to just do for that project is to ensure that how can we train businesses to use branding as a strategic tool for global competitiveness. How can they scale using their brands? And out of the 60 SMEs that were part of that program, a lot of them are now shipping abroad. A lot of them are now scaling abroad because now they have the branding strategies that they need in their businesses. So if you are interested, you can also look out for some WIPO projects that talks to businesses about these things. And we are also in the process of establishing an IP training institute where we can continue to train and talk to businesses, students about the importance of intellectual property. And also an IP for Business Center that will be based within Sweden. So please look out for these things and you can always reach out to us. Thank you very much. Do we have questions before our 40 minutes ends? Okay. Please, where's the second microphone?
Okay, thank you very much. Please, what's the difference between WIPO and the Nigerian copyright?
Okay, thank you. So the Nigerian Copyright Commission is an agency under the Nigerian government, and what they do is they cover everything that relates to copyright and related rights. Do you get? And the WIPO is the World Intellectual Property Organization. We are not a Nigerian-based company. We are an international organization based in Switzerland. And what we do is, so for copyright, they only focus on Nigeria. For WIPO, we focus on all the countries that are members of the United Nations. And currently, there's 193 of them. So it's an intergovernmental organization. Nigeria comes to WIPO, Ghana comes to WIPO, America comes to WIPO, to negotiate, to talk about policy, to develop laws, and to ensure that there's a effective and balanced IP system. So that's different. NCC is one national, WIPO is global.
Okay, thank you. Based on patent, so in software, if we want to do the patent, are we putting the patent based on the code we write or the idea, the process, what our code is doing?
Yes.
Okay, fantastic.
So patent can only be for two things: the product or the process. So what is the process that you are effecting? What is the process that your business is changing? Your code, whatever it is, what process is it? I think ChatGPT may be a good example because they have done something, artificial intelligence, that we haven't seen before. There's a process, the code, they put the code, I don't know much about that, the coding thing that got them to that point, right? So it's the process or the product. Yeah. Okay, please pass. 2 minutes. Okay, how many minutes do we have? 5 minutes. Okay, so maybe 2 more questions and we wrap up. Okay.
Good afternoon.
Okay.
All right. You talk about cosmetic and herbal products. I'm a naturopathic doctor, so talking about
you're a what?
a naturopathic doctor.
Okay.
So talking about herbal products, apart from what are the process of copywriting? Are we to copyright the formulation, or
You can copyright from this. Like I said, there are so many different common forms of IP that can be in that product. So if you have a recipe for that your herbal product, you can copyright it. If you have a process that is new, that no one has ever done before, to arrive at that herbal product, you can patent it. If when you put the product and the process together, it results in a new drug or a new invention that no one has in Nigeria that probably cures headache in 2 seconds, you can patent it. So there are different forms of IP within that's your product or that's your system that we can explore. Yeah. No, I'm not saying patent is better. Whatever one you choose is better, but you can use all the forms. You are not restricted to one forms of IP. Do you get? So you can use the trademark. Of course, in that your product, there's a trademark, there's a copyright for the recipe, there's a patent for the process. You can explore as many forms as you like. You can't be restricted to one. You don't have to restrict yourself. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. All right.
Okay.
This is the last question, please. So we can have further discussion outside so that the next person can come in, please. All right.
Okay. My question is in two folds. Okay. You talked about copyright that in Nigeria it's automatic.
Yeah.
Okay, but there has to be proof of originality.
Okay. Can we continue this discussion? Excuse me. Can we continue the discussion outside?
Okay.
All right. Please, if you have any question, I'm still outside for like another 30 minutes. Thank you very much, everyone. God bless you.
Okay. Just I want us to kindly go out gently because everywhere is just so tight, so we don't bump into each other. The next session is starting immediately. It's starting immediately, and that's with Banky W. It's going to be here shortly. But we still all have to go out, right? But let's go out carefully so we don't bump into each other. Thank you very much. Please drop your headphones. Yeah. Hello. Come, bros. Bro, come, come.
Were you guys there? Okay, you were. Okay, good. So as we're taking our seats, really, this is supposed to be an interactive session. So it's really about Q&A, because I've spoken already. So if you guys don't have any questions, we can say the grace and go home now. But if you have questions, I have a few minutes to interact with you. So I'd love to know what you want to talk about. Any questions that you have, it can be on leadership, it can be on business, it can be on any of the experiences that I had, it can be on the presentation that I made, or anything that you are going through. But this session will go as far as you guys want it to go. So I'm depending on you to ask questions. We have questions.
Are you the one with him?
Do we have a roaming mic?
Yes, we do.
Where's the roaming mic? Or we can share the mic until the other mic is here. Okay.
Hello. Check. Can everyone hear me?
Hey, Baba, don't put it too close. Take it easy. All right. Where's Victor? Okay. So what I'm going to do, first of all, how many people have questions? 1, 2, 3. Okay. Maybe what we'll do is we'll do 3 questions at a time. So I'll write little notes here from what you asked so that I don't forget the questions, and then we'll answer 3 at a time. And hopefully, we can go through that way. So when you ask your question, please tell me your name, where you're from, and what your business or career, real quick. Don't use 10 minutes to introduce yourself. All right. And then please, if we can keep the questions to 1 minute or less, so that everybody who wants to ask something has a chance to do it. And if somebody already asked your question, don't ask another question by force. God has already answered you. Allow somebody else to ask. Are we clear? Are we fair? These are the rules of engagement. So if you stand up and say, you already answered my question, so now let me think of another one. Mbano, we're not doing that. Fair? Are you guys awake? Okay. All right. Sis, over to you.
Okay, hi. My name is Chika.
Okay.
I'm in the music business.
Okay.
Live band, precisely.
Okay.
So, my question is simply about mentorship.
Okay.
Do we have a chance to get mentorship as live band musicians? And if yes, how do we go about it? Approach, putting out proposal to them, what we hope to gain and what we hope to offer these mentors to attract their attention.
Got it.
And then as females in the industry as well, how do we bypass or overcome the, in quotes, challenges we face as females in the industry pertaining to the mentorship?
How do females bypass the challenges?
Yes.
Okay, who's next? Okay, go ahead.
Yeah. Good morning. Good afternoon. My name is Ololo Emiko Andrew. Yeah, I'm a creative artist, not a musician.
Okay. By the way, this session is not just for people that are in musical. Please, if you have any, because me, I'm not even a musician anymore, really. So it's not just about people that are in the music business. Okay, go ahead, Mr. Andrew.
All right. In your session outside earlier, you mentioned, I don't know if it's your quotes or just your philosophy. You said you are what you repeatedly do. So which begs the question, what is your philosophy on this subject of, is it to do that is to be, or is it to be that is to do? Are you are you being by doing, or are you what you are because of what you do? It borders
I got the
around-
question.
Okay.
Next question.
Okay, so my name is Israel Abiola. This question I'm about to ask is kind of personal, and it came from, I think, the last point you raised where you were talking, when you were talking about the creator. It dawned on me that, so what I do, I'm a creative, basically.
What does that mean?
So create content. I do videography, mobile videography.
Okay, I
I'm
got it.
currently like learning photography too, and all of that. But every decision I've made and everything that I've tried to venture into, basically, was because of was in the bid to just have something to eat, if that makes sense. I just want to make money. I just want to be out of poverty. I don't just want to end up like the people that went before me and all of that. So, at what point do at what point do I really do what God wants me to do?
All right, cool. That's the first three. So we'll do three at a time. For those who came into the room late, we'll do three questions at a time. I'll do my best to answer them, and then we'll move to the next three. Sorry, I'm just writing Israel's note down. Okay, so the first question came from Chika, and she talked about mentorship and how do we kind of approach mentors? How do we get access to mentors? How do we send proposals to people that we want to be mentored by? And my response to this might be a little bit different from what you guys may expect, but I will share it with you because this is what has worked for me. Now, if you think throughout, so you guys know that I'm in ministry, I'm a pastor, so sometimes I will draw on scriptural references because that's who I am. I'm not trying to force you to be like me. I'm just saying this is what has worked for me. Is that okay? So if you can also you don't, because you're using headphone, you can say yes. Yeah, you don't have to be silent. Don't worry, it's fine. So I know that you are here and you are awake. So here's what I've learned about mentorship. Usually, the mentor selects the mentees. So if you check throughout scripture, it is the person who's going to serve as a mentor that goes and says, "You come and walk with me." Jesus selected the disciples. Paul selected Timothy and co, and Silas and co. Elijah selected Elisha. Moses selected Joshua. David selected Solomon. Do you see the pattern? The pattern is that the person who has the wisdom that you need will usually see somebody working or doing something and adding value and saying, "You know what? I like what you're doing. I think I can teach you some things. Come." Now, what you want to do is two things. One, what you need before you even need relationship, you need wisdom. So you need the wisdom that the person has. The relationship is great if you can gain access to the relationship, but you need the wisdom first. That's really what, even the purpose of the relationship is to gain the wisdom, right? And you are so lucky that you live in a time such as this, that the wisdom is at the tip of your fingers. So, for instance, if you say you like me, I have spoken at easily 5,000 conferences. I've preached easily thousands of sermons. I've done millions of interviews, whether it's in newspaper or in a blog or whatever. Do you get what I'm saying? If you type Banky W sermon on YouTube, you cannot finish the sermons that I have there. What am I saying? It's the wisdom that you need, and the wisdom is already there. So it's one thing to see me somewhere and say, I want you to be my mentor. I want you to be my mentor. It's another thing to say, there's something that God has deposited in this guy that I need. So I'm going to listen to the teaching. I'm going to learn. I'm going to take notes. I'm going to start applying it. I'm going to build my business. I'm going to be doing something so that by the time I see you, you are out there building something. You have created something. You can even point to some of the things that I've said or taught and how you've implemented that wisdom in your life. That is a completely different conversation than saying, "You don't know me from anywhere. Come and be my mentor." Is it making sense? So the people that have eventually become my mentors, way before I ever even had the chance to have a relationship with them, I was learning from them. I was studying them. I was saying, what are the things that this man has said? What are the things, whether that's people in church or like pastors that I listen to. See, my wife will tell you, if I listen to a sermon at all, minimum 5, 6 times, weekly. There's like 4 or 5 pastors that I listen to every week without fail. And each message easily 5 or 6 times, usually 10, 11, 12 times. Why? Because there's wisdom inside that God has deposited inside people that I'm trying to learn, that I'm trying to gain for myself. Now, as I do that and I implement it and I grow, I build things of value so that when the person eventually meets me, I can be like, oh, sir, I was reading your interviews, or I studied your this, or I listened to your messages, or I remember when you preached a message on Kiniko. That is a completely different conversation because the person knows that number one, I'm building something of value. Number two, I'm taking the wisdom that they've given out and I'm implementing it and I'm holding on to it. That person will be much more likely to say, you know what? Here's my phone number. Let's talk. Send me an email. Do you get it? So your goal as somebody who wants to be mentored is to study the wisdom that exists, either in your field or in business or in ministry or wherever. Draw from that wisdom and build something valuable. And as you build, the people will come, the relationships will come, but you have to build first and you have to learn first. Is that fair? And I share that with you because that has been my own journey. There are people that I have mentor-like relationships with today, but it didn't start from me accosting them out of the blue. It started from me learning from them even when they didn't even know who I was. And that's how you go about it. So that's what I would recommend. So you are in a band, right? The good thing about your band is you get the opportunity to play in front of people. So people, if your band is really good, if you commit to the craft, if you build that band and you guys, every time you come, you are killing it. People are taking videos of you and putting it on social media, and you are now learning about the business of music or the business of just business and how to build better and be better. And you're putting in structures and you're building something. By the time you now meet somebody, whoever, Tony Elumelu, he has already heard you play 3, 4, 5 times. You have heard him talk at his TOE conference. You have heard something that he said. So if you meet Tony Elumelu and you say, sir, oh, one time you said this is how we implemented it in my band. Do you get what I'm saying? That's a completely different conversation than just saying, oh, sir, you're so great. Please mentor me. Can I have your phone number? Do you get? And the people who are in a position to mentor you subconsciously are always looking for that. So if you are just the person that just approaches them out of the blue, but you have not spent time to build anything, you have not learned anything, you just want to say, oh, because I've seen you here today, I want your phone number. More than likely, they may not give it to you. Not because they don't think you're worthwhile. It's just that they get a million of those requests. So build first, learn first, and then the relationships will come. In terms of the challenges that women face, I know that's a very real thing, especially in the entertainment business where people try to take advantage of women. I can answer only because my wife has come through, that entertainment process of starting when nobody knows you, you don't know anybody, and you're trying to build a career. What I would say is be very careful to set your boundaries in advance. And this is for all the women, even if you're not in entertainment, in any kind of business that you're in, set your boundaries in advance to say, these are my lines, and these are the lines that I will not cross, and I will not allow anybody to cross with me. And if some man somewhere is offering you an opportunity to exchange for your body or whatever the things that men tend to do with women who need something, you have to have the strength to say this opportunity is not for me. And that may mean that you take a longer time and that your journey is longer before you eventually get to where you go, but you will last longer than compromising yourself and compromising your standards to say, oh, because this man can give me a grant for my business, I'll start sleeping with him. Because once you go down that road, you shortchange yourself in the long term. And that's a sermon for another day, so I won't go too much into that. But I would say the point is set those boundaries in advance and embrace the power of saying no. There's power in walking away from something because it does not serve you. Even if it looks like you're disadvantaging yourself in the short term, in the long term, and this is for guys and girls really, in the long term, you will benefit more if you hold yourself to a high enough standard to be able to say, no, this thing is not for me, and I walk away from it with my head held high. So that's what I would say. The next question is, and I have to do these answers faster, otherwise we'll never leave here. Andrew asked me a philosophy question, is it to be or to do? I would argue that we really shouldn't bother getting into the semantics of the language. The point of that point is a commitment to being consistent to the journey of self-development. So whether you want to define that as being or doing, the point is consistency. The point is commitment. The point is a consistent investment in my development and my qualifications and my certifications and my knowledge and my ability, so that when the day comes that I have to sit at a table, I'm sitting at the table because I'm qualified to be there. I'm certified. I have everything that I need, that anybody else would need to sit at this table. Do you get it? So I wouldn't spend so time wondering about the language of it rather than the action of it. That's the point that I was trying to transmit. Is that fair? Okay. Next question from Israel. Everything he's trying to do is in a bid to have something to eat, have something to provide for yourself. And I know that that's a very difficult place to start. What I can say is this. Number one, because he asked a very specific question. He said, at what point do I pivot from looking, doing things just to have something to eat to doing things because God has called me to do them? I would say that, first of all, don't assume that what God has called you to do cannot give you something to eat. Because God is not unaware of our challenges. God is not unaware of our current situation. God is not unaware that you are going through things and that you need to provide for yourself. Scripture is filled with verses. My God will supply all of my needs according to his riches in glory in Christ Jesus. Jehovah Jireh, my provider. My God, in him do I trust. There's so many scriptures that talk about God being concerned about our needs and our sustenance. So don't remove the lie in your head that says, oh, God has called me to do something, but I can't do that because I need to eat. What God has called you to do will put God that orders something will pay for it. Now, the thing with God, though, is that journey is usually longer than we want. And that journey usually takes more sacrifice, more time, a bit more pain. So with God, it's always pain and sacrifice in the short term for long-term benefit. With the enemy or with fleshly compromise, it's the reverse. You are doing something like we were talking about the women challenges. You do something that's compromising, and in the short term, you look like you're gaining pleasure, but in the long term, you're suffering for it. So, one, God does want to provide for your needs. Two, the principle of being faithful in little. So, you want to own a house one day. Well, how do you treat the place that you live in right now? You want to own your own business one day, but how do you treat the job that you have right now? Do you show up on time? Can they depend on you? Do you go over and above expectations? Are you making wise stewardship decisions in the short term? Because God will never give you that entire big story, but he will test your faithfulness in little. The Bible says he who has been given little will also be given much. So you need a commitment to where you are and the doors that are open before you right now, before other doors that will now lead to what you want to do long term will open. So I would say start planning in terms of visioning for what it is that God has called you to do in the long term, but ensure that in the short term it's not one or the other. It's not, oh, I'm focused so much on my vision that I'm now failing on my job or failing in school or failing in my family or failing in my neighborhood. No, you're being faithful here. If you remember the story of David in the Bible, right? Samuel comes, anoints him to be king of Israel. I don't know about you, but if Daddy Adeboye comes and says, you're going to be the president one day, what's going to happen to you? The next day, it's a natural shoulder pad. Nobody can talk to you again. I mean, prophecy don't land, everything don't show, right? But David goes right back to being a shepherd boy. And that's not a sexy job. It's smelling, you're dealing with animals. In fact, he was the forgotten son of his father because his mom was not a legitimate wife. If you go and study theology, David's mom was like a concubine or just a whatever. So he did not even have that father-son relationship. So he was essentially like a house help. That's really what they were using him for. But he showed diligence in that, to the point where the day that he would kill Goliath, that would change his life, he was still serving in the field. They now called him and said, come, take these supplies to your brothers. Take these supplies to your brothers in the... This our mic, don't they fumble. Yeah. Okay. Maybe turn that one off. There, that's better. They now called and said, take this. Hello. Because we can off it and me, I can shout too. I'm from entertainment. We know how to project. They now called him and said, take these supplies to your brothers in the field. And then the Bible says he left his stuff with the keeper of things. That shows diligence. It shows paying attention to detail. And then was running these errands. And it was now that day that God was saying, now. Another story, not that I want to turn this into a church, but another story, when Jesus turned water to wine. You guys know that story, right? So he tells the servants, fill the jars with water. Now, if you actually do the math, the jars were a certain number, and I don't remember the numbers now, but they were a certain height, a certain width, a certain depth, and they were a certain distance from the well where they would draw the water from to fill the jars. So you're talking about 15 trips, 15 to 20 trips per jar for 6 or 8 jars. I don't remember. The numbers are fuzzy in my mind. But that shows, we read the Bible and we think one verse, they finish and they move. No, that they might have been filling it for going to the well to fetch water for an hour and just saying, pour this one, go back, fetch another one, pour it until all the jars were filled to the brim. So the lesson is fill all the jars in your life. Whether that's going to school, whether that's taking a course on YouTube, whether that's doing something on Google, whether that's getting a certification, just keep filling the jars because you don't know the day that God will now turn around and say, now draw some out. That now is the moment that your life will change. But if you say, Baba, I don't feel this one jar, at least convert this one to wine first now before we talk about the others. And that's where a lot of us fall short. It's like we stop in that process of filling jars instead of saying, these are the jars that God has placed before me. Let me fill these ones. And if I do that, one day God will say, now draw some out. Next 3 questions. Hey, there were only 4 questions before. Voila. All right.
Okay,
I'll
so
try to answer quicker because I think, but is my answer, are my answers helping? Talk with your throat. I can hear you. Okay. All right.
So
Yes,
good
sir.
afternoon. My name is Amos. I'm a third year medical student at the College of Medicine, University of Lagos.
Okay, Amos, what you got?
So I have 2 questions, but I'll just join 2 of them into one.
Okay.
So when you were speaking, you spoke about people developing businesses based on what they love to do. For example, like the people that cooks and the rest. Just spoke. I love motor vehicles. I do know a lot of them, and I do love them. So part of my plans for next year is actually to start something in that stead.
Okay.
So I want to ask your advice because I know the current community I'm in or the current potential customers I have are not the ones that will be able to afford the motor vehicles I will want to sell. Because obviously my contacts are full of students and some of the lecturers. So that's my follow-up questions I would like to ask you is, how did you find balance in all of these things? You were both a pastor, you're an actor, a politician, your father, your husband. How did you find balance in all of this? Thank you.
Okay. For other people, please let's restrict it to 1 question each because there are a lot of questions now, so we have to be fair. But you have snuck 2 in, so we'll allow you. But now that we have set the rule, please only 1 more question. Where's the mic? Can you pass it? Oh, you have a question too? Okay, go ahead. Is it on?
Okay.
Yeah. Don't put
My-
it too close so you don't bust our.
All right. My name is Prosper. I'm a fashion designer. So quickly, I would ask this question. It's a personal question, yeah.
Okay.
Now, for a startup, yeah, who you're building, right? You actually done all you can do as per putting in money into your business and all that for a while now, right? And you tend not to be seeing return of investments yet for a while, right? So, those moments where you keep telling yourself that, of course, you're on the right path, right? It's quite easy to say, but when you're not seeing the returns, yeah, it's quite challenging. It's very much challenging. So, in those moments, what do you advise in those moments?
Okay.
My name is my name is Adini Jifeshala, and I'm a radiography student. I just wanted to ask.
Radiography.
Yes, ma'am. I wanted to ask, what made you stand out? Cause, what made you stand out and what kept you going? Cause during the time you were making music, social media wasn't so used as it is now? What made you stand out from different musicians? Many people will say consistency, but also many people also add consistency, but it still didn't take them so far as I don't know you. So, sir, what made you stand out? What made you motivated? What kept you going?
Let's take one more because these two questions are similar. Let's go to the guy in glasses. Oh, did you have a question too? Okay, after this set, we'll start with you and then we'll go to the back of the room. I just want to make sure that we're getting people in the back too, that you people in the front don't just kidnap the mic.
All
Okay.
right, thank you very much, sir.
Yeah.
So, sorry for just digressing a little bit.
Don't digress, so you have 1 minute, Baba.
Like, it's more on the political side.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah, so I would like to ask, I think in the year
What's your name?
2023, my name is Blessing Ben. I'm into interior decoration. So, during your political time, I think 2023, what was the challenge you faced? How did you face it? And looking forward,
How much time do you have?
it's like what are the challenges you face? How did you face them, and what would you have done better, or what will you do better moving forward?
That's an interesting. Okay. Let's see how we can tackle these. Okay, the first question is from Amos, and really, Amos, your question is: are you Amos? Your question is one about markets, right? So, huh? No, okay. So your question is one about markets. Your question is really because you said the people that you have access to. 5 minutes before we have to close. Hey, okay, we'll do speed answers. You said the people that you have access to cannot afford the kinds of cars that you want to sell. So it's really a question of market. I would challenge you to maybe take a step back and look at your vision for yourself in this sector. Because I remember I said this when I was inside. You're trying to create a business, not a job. A business means there's a system that puts together some kind of service or product that is being sold to a specific market. So if the market that you have access to cannot afford what you want to do, then it's either this business is not for you, or your approach to this business needs to be rethought. You might even want to take a step back and say, okay, what do I want my life to look like in 10 years' time? I want to be married. I want to have children. I want to own my own home. I want to, my wife to have a car, me to have a car. I want to take my children on vacation once a year. And then you now do the numbers of what that would cost, right? So to own a home in Lagos, or wherever, how much is it? The car, the this, and you put that down in naira or dollar figures. Then you now say, okay, this idea that I have as a business that I want to build long term, can this business generate enough where out of the profits of this business, after paying tax, I have enough money to afford the lifestyle that I want? And if you don't, if that does not work, then the business, it doesn't even make sense for you to go into the business in the first place. Maybe you then now need to rethink and say, okay, maybe it's not selling cars that cost $1 billion. Maybe it's doing content around cars. Maybe it's, because now anybody can go on YouTube and watch your content, or go on social media and watch your content. So now you expand your mind beyond what you've pigeonholed it to say, I'm looking for people that can buy cars. Because also, if somebody can afford a $500,000 car, there's a very specific kind of person that person would buy the car from. So not only are you maybe not aware of the market that you have access to, you also have to be aware of your own place to say, yeah, I want to sell $500,000 cars, but will a $500,000 car buying person come and buy a car from me right now? And if the honest answer is no, then that means you need to build something else and get enough success and stature in society that you can then now pivot to this big ticket picture. So if you have now become, you are now Amos the car guy, and you have built your social media following, you have built your YouTube, you have 1 million subscribers on YouTube, you are making money from YouTube first. Then now you can now say, okay, now as an addition to that, I will help people source luxury vehicles around the world and organize end-to-end shipping, and they'll bring the. But you see, you've put the blocks in place to to eventually become that person. But if you sit down and look at that person and say, ah, my idea cannot work because the market cannot afford it, or I don't have access, then you forever be in this place, and you can attend 20 of these kinds of conferences, you'll still be in the same place until you start saying, how can I work with the tools that I have right now to start building something towards that place? I hope that helps. And I hope it's not too harsh, but I like to tell the truth. Okay. Prosper talked about fashion and not seeing returns and how to hold on. Adeniji talked about what makes you stand out. How do you keep going? So I'm going to answer these two as quickly as I can. These are very important questions that deserve much longer, in-depth answers. But I've also tackled these kinds of questions a lot. So I would challenge you to go and look online at like previous conferences that I've spoken at, because invariably, eventually somebody always asks something like this. And what I would say is, it's been a combination of things for me. One, my relationship with God, which has had its ups and downs, and certain times that I was better than others. Two, it's just having the courage and the resilience to keep going. This kind of success requires you having the courage and the resilience to keep standing and fighting for what you believe in, even when you have to stand alone, even when nobody is picking up the phone, even when nobody's looking for you. It also requires you setting yourself apart. So you have to do is take an honest look at what, and sometimes for people who are creative, this is very hard to do. But you have to take an honest look at how you stack up with competitors. So if you're in the fashion business now, you have to compare yourself to other Nigerian fashion designers who are successful and be honest enough to say, is the thing that I'm making as good in quality and style and appeal as Maya Tafo or David Wedge or whatever? And the number one challenge with answering these questions with creatives, a lot of times we're too blinded by the thing that we've created that we're not able to be honest with ourselves. So you're a musician, you're in the studio, you think the song you made is the greatest song, and I've been there. You think it's the greatest song of all time because you are so invested in it. You wrote the lyrics, you sang for hours in the studio, you are playing it on studio speaker that everything sounds good somehow. And they will come to me and say, Baba, I'm ready, I have it. I'll listen to the song, and the song 9 times out of 10 will be terrible. 9 times out of 10. Because we're not self-aware enough to say, am I genuinely really good enough for this sector? Is my stuff good enough? Because nobody's going to come and take you from bad to great. You have to work your way to good enough by yourself first before somebody will now say, with a little bit of help, with a little bit of structure, with a little bit of wisdom, this thing can be amazing, right? But the journey from trenches to good enough is one that you have to take by yourself with the people that are already around you. So first you have to answer that question, is saying, I need to be able to walk into a store of somebody that's successful. Go to David Wedge, go to Maya Tafo, go to all these people and look at it. This suit that I'm wearing is Maya Tafo that made it, right? Is the stuff that I'm making this good? Or at least in the same field. If it's not, then it means I have work to do if I want to stick to this. And then if it is, then it's now a question of the resilience to keep holding on and to keep plugging away at it, chipping away at it, like I said earlier about filling the jars until God says, okay, now is the time. And then it's now another question of like, how then are you now amplifying? How are you marketing? How are you selling it? How are you doing creative things with it? You know, everybody's sitting around waiting for some popular person to wear their clothes. Maybe you can take an opposite thing and say, I'm going to make outfits for homeless people on the street. And I'm going to do a homeless man makeover. And I'm going to go and I'm going to show him kaftans. I'm going to I'm going to capture everything on social media. I'm going to do it on YouTube and be like, oh, let me help. A lot of times we need to think outside the box, right? Because you're trying to gain attention. And in this world where everybody's doing the same thing, how do you stand out of the park? Which goes to the question that the radiography, was that you? That asked me about, it's really a question of thinking outside of the box, you know, doing what you're doing differently that it gains people's attention, and it's that attention that you can then monetize. So between both of you, Sha, take something from there. I think that answers the four questions that we have. Blessing. Oh, the politics question. Challenges that we faced. Where's Blessing? Blessing. This one is a whole other episode of the show that will only discuss politics. But challenges that we faced and what we would have done better. It's a tricky way to answer this question because it would require me going into the intricacies and the nuances of the campaign that we ran and what was going on politically at the time. If you remember, I joined a major political party, the PDP at the time. And the ironic thing was when I joined the PDP, there were people who were in the PDP who were actively recruiting me. So GRV, who is a friend of mine, he can tell you himself that he sat down with me and said, listen, come and join us here. I'm here. Peter Obi is here. Bukola Saraki is here. There are people that have sense that, we all believe that Nigeria can be better. Let's build something here. So I joined the party only for, politics to do what politics does. And before you know it, for those who were following, I fought tooth and nail. They tried to steal my primaries from me. We had to do a whole other primary, spent a ton of money, did all of that, finally emerged with my ticket, only for the same people that I was hoping to collaborate with and that to one by one start dropping like flies and leaving the platform. And the way that the electoral, and so the House of Reps primaries was actually the first one. House of Reps and State House of Assemblies were the first one that did. So I emerged out of that battle only to turn around and see the presidential primaries. Peter Obi left, governorship primaries, GRV himself left. So a lot of the people who I was kind of hoping to say, let's build something, let's work together. Even if you don't get governorship, you can be senator. If you're not president, you'll be vice president. And we'll build a new arm of this political party and do something special to reform the country with. They all, not all, but a few of them kind of, one way or another, things just happened with politics. So I ended up being like a lone ranger. But we did the best that we could. We ran a phenomenal campaign. We were a casualty of the presidential campaign, so to speak, because there was a wave that swept certain parts of the nation. This constituency was part of it. Unfortunately, the person that eventually won, a lot of people in the constituency didn't even know because he hadn't really campaigned. In fact, he was even still in court because he allegedly took the ticket of that party from somebody else. It was really messy. And I think the lesson learned for me and for everybody in the constituency was we have to pay attention, right? Like I probably should have paid more attention to be more aware that this wave was going. I knew the wave would affect us, but I thought we would survive the wave. But I think a lot of people, because after the elections, people were coming to me and crying and saying, oh, we didn't know, we were just, following the presidential candidate that we liked. And, we kind of got swept in the wave. We didn't know we would have liked you to represent us. But I think it's a lesson learned in just paying attention, not just to presidential campaigns, but to every campaign for every seat, to say, if you as a citizen are looking at it, who's the person that represents your vision and your values for yourself, for your family, for your constituency, and for your country, and ensuring that you and the people around you are saying, okay, maybe for president too, this is what we do. For House of Reps, for you are making informed decisions and not just blindly going to the polls. So I think that there are lessons to be learned there. Also, I am so rooted in my faith that I know that nothing happens to me without God's permission. And I am now convinced, after the dust has settled, that God really didn't want me entering government at that time. For various reasons, which I won't go into now. But I think that it was divine providence saying, yes, I've called you to be a leader. Yes, there are things that I'm going to accomplish through you, but not here and now, and not in this way. And so a few things happened that made it clear, in the outcome that it just wasn't for me at this time. Now, I am 99% sure that I'm not running in 2027. And I say 99%, it's really almost 100% that I'm not running in 2027 because of how much it has cost in terms of challenges. Finances, like it comes at a huge personal cost, financially, emotionally, spiritually. Even your family pays a price when you enter into these kinds of arenas. So I know that I'm not running in 2027. But I'm not saying, I've learned to never say never. So maybe in 2031 or beyond, after God has accomplished other things through me, we'll revisit that conversation at some point. But I learned a lot, I gained a lot, and a lot of people were blessed through the work that we did. And hopefully, we inspired enough right thinking, like minded people that more people would then now try it going forward. Because really, how much can one person do? There's no Messiah other than Jesus Christ. So, how much can one person really do? We need more people at various levels. The person that you're complaining about that's a governor or a minister today was a local government chairman, and you were not paying attention when he ran for that and won, and when he was in a state house of assembly, or when he became a rep or a senator. And now the person is a minister or a president or a governor, and everybody's shouting, but you weren't paying attention at the other levels. So I think the lesson here is, let's pay attention, because those roles have so much to do with the country that we live in, the laws that are enforced, the environment that we raise our children and our businesses and our families in. And eventually, those roles become the people at the top of the political chain who. The next speaker is ready. I'm so sorry, guys. I wanted to take 3 more, but they're saying no. No vex. I hope you were blessed, Cha. Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Please, everybody, and we want to be patient. Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Yeah. Okay, just careful. All right. Please drop your headset if you know you're going out. No problem. You can drop your headset and go out. The session is happening now. If you want to stay, stay. She's coming in. When you see her, you know what she's talking about.
You have to give me ginger now. Can you guys hear me? You have to give me ginger. Or just us. And you have to give me ginger. After all my struggles. All right. Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for being patient and sacrificing your lunch to come and listen. Why won't you guys come forward? Me, I'm going to bully everybody at this junction. All right, but we're going to talk about building and scaling high performance sales teams. So I'm assuming all of you are business owners or you are in hiring phases, or at least there's some level of hiring involved. Anybody not hiring anybody, not looking to hire a salesperson, business development. Okay, good. All right, good. All right, so what we're going to learn today is when and how to hire your first salesperson. And typically, when I talk about this, I usually speak to founders, entrepreneurs that are kind of just starting or building up their sales team. So, any founder here? Oh, okay, interesting. And then how to retain your talent, and then how to build your talent. And then we have a few activities we're going to go through. So, my name is Hannatu Kasim Adeboyega. I build and I lead high-performing sales teams. I help organizations. Oh, you can't see. I say here. I help organizations choose the best solution for their business. Right now, my focus is on financial regulators and anybody that needs any supervisory tools. And there's a reason why I'm going through this, so you would know how to introduce yourself. And I enjoy sharing knowledge, and I enjoy helping people just find different ways of doing things. So if you were to introduce yourself, this is an easy format. What do you help to do? Not what your grandmother did in 2 years ago, how you started the business when you were hungry. Simple. How this is an easy way. You go for a conference, you're able to introduce yourself. No stress, no grammar. Good? You want to take a screenshot? If you can. If you don't, if not, I can always share it with you. Don't worry. Not the slides, but I'll probably share, how to introduce yourself. So this I need you to scan. Let's see. Because the question is going to ask you, have you hired anybody? I hope it's working. My slider should be up. Did it come up? It came up for one person. Should come up. Slider should come up. Have you hired a salesperson before? Was it not right? Was it right? Oh, network is bad. But let's ask. How many people have hired? Was it good? Right time? Perfect time? And the person is still with you? Well done. Who has had a bad hire? The good, the bad. Please pity yourself. Salespeople, that's how we are. We're badly behaved like that. We're sorry. But yes. So these are the things that we realize that most founders struggle with, or most entrepreneurs struggle with, right? First thing is you hire too soon. I had to join a startup to understand what this is, product market fit. I didn't know. I was so used to big tech and, we all had product market fit. And then I realized there's something like product, where it simply means that your product doesn't fit the market in simple English. And that's a bad thing because it's hard to sell something that the market is not ready for. You may be too advanced. You may be too, so typically you're too advanced. What you have is just not fitting it because you are too future ready. Or you may have come not at the right time. Maybe the market is just not in the mood. Yeah. So that's something we see. And that you might be hiring too late and you may have missed out on a lot of growth opportunities, meaning that you didn't think it was needed at that time to hire. And then you realize that, hold on, there's some opportunities I missed that I could have. And then you start to regret. We have a lot of people that sit here in this regret, where they think, oh, I should have made this decision, I should have hired earlier. So we have a lot of founders that kind of struggle with this. And then you hire who's at the wrong, good, bad, and ugly. This person. That you ask yourself, who sent me? Right? There's some people, I agree, I know some badly behaved salespeople that are just general faffas. And it's very shameful for me as a sales leader to say this, but it is what it is. So this is what we see as the typical growth journey for a founder or an entrepreneur. You start with founder-led sales. So you start your company, you have a brilliant idea, everything is very perfect. And then you think, I can sell this thing. And a mistake a lot of founders make at this stage, or a lot of entrepreneurs make at this stage, you think, when you tell somebody, I have a good idea, and they're like, it's a good idea, or yeah, come and pay me for it. That's when they will now start to act Nigerian film. Oh, I'm coming. My money has hooked. Something happened to something. So this is that process here, where you're just selling to friends and family. This is how we usually start, especially if you're a founder or you're just starting your business. And then you hire your first salesperson. But the key is this. It means that for you to hire somebody, the person can take what you give them and repeat that sales. I always tell my team members, is once in a while you have a flash in the pan. Oh, you can't hear. Should we change the mic? Okay. Once in a while we have a flash in the pan. You have one big deal. If it's not repeatable, it's not really good. It's not that we'll collect the money, we'll collect the revenue. But if we cannot repeat your step-by-step process, then there's a problem. So as a founder, you should not be able to hire, or you shouldn't hire till you are sure that the person you hire can look at what you did and repeat it, and they will sell something. Make sense? Fantastic. And they can build a playbook. And what's a playbook? I think I'm going to give you, no, the playbook I'm going to share is an example of when you should hire. But a playbook is simply, what's my ICP? What did I build? What else? What else? What else in a playbook? What is my demographic? What all the questions you should ask yourself about your product goes in your playbook. And I know there's some playbooks. The beauty of ChatGPT, God bless them. There's nothing you can ask. Tell ChatGPT, this is my business. This is what I do. Give me a playbook. It's to give you one. So that you won't say I'm wicked. And then when you graduate to having a small sales team, you have 3 to 5 people. By the time you get to 3 to 5 salespeople, you need a tool. Don't let anybody deceive you. You need a tool. There's a point you will get to. Excel cannot work. Because one day somebody will type an extra 0, you will now deceive yourself at the end of the year. Has it happened to anybody? It has happened to you. An extra 0 can be catastrophe for somebody's business. So at a point in your life, you will need a tool. And this tool, start small. Yes, Excel, but there are a lot of free tools. A lot of free tools. So don't panic. I'm not sure if I know any off the top of my head, but there are a lot of free tools. And you must have a sales process, meaning repeatable sale. You hire a new person, you hire an intern, NYC, the person can say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we'll get to selling. And lastly, when you're selling on a large scale, so you're selling to leadership roles, you're selling to VPs. By this point now, your sales team should not just be anybody. They should be serious people that you can put in front of, or they can meet somebody and they will not embarrass your life. Make sense? Aha. All right, so these are the signs it's time to hire. If you're a founder and you're overwhelmed with calls and demos, I think it was it Banky W that said it? Somebody talked about working on your business and not for the business. At some point of your life, as a CEO, as a founder, as a business owner, you should realize when it's time for you to work on your business. Meaning you're talking about strategy, you're talking about scaling, you're talking about next level. You should not be saying, hey, how many calls did we have yesterday? That's your salesperson's job. So if you are reaching that point, that's when you need to sell. And that's when you need to hire. When you have customers coming from, this word again, repeatable channels. Meaning, I put something on LinkedIn, 2 customers called me and they bought. I put something on Facebook, 2 customers called me and they bought. That's it. When you know, if you're a Christian, you know when you say spiritual patterns, when you start to see a pattern, then you need it, because it means that that person can repeat what you are doing. It means the person can follow your roadmap. Where you have product market fit, this thing can make or break a business. Me, I've seen it. And the beauty of startups, the beauty of entrepreneurs, one-man business, or owning your own business, is that you can wake up one day and pivot. Nobody's dragging with you. We did it in Q3. Between Q3, I lost my 2 team members for different reasons. I'm not a bad person, I promise. I'm not a bad person. I'm not wicked. But for different reasons, I lost 2 team members. I still have more, but I lost 2 key team members. Luckily for me, my CEO woke up and just said, it seems like we're making money from central banks. And I said, do you mind if we pivot? That was it. I slept in Q3 facing fintechs. I woke up in Q3 facing regulators. For me, it's good because there's less pressure on me. But if you don't have product market fit, don't be pivot. Don't be afraid to change. Nobody's going to beat you. It's your business. ICP, you know your ICP, you know the person you are building for, you know the person you're selling for, and you know that if I'm to sell, the person understands why I'm selling to them. Avoid hiring if you're still searching for product market fit. You're not sure. You don't know. Or you've not sold one thing. If you haven't sold before, don't hire anybody. If you haven't sold one thing, don't hire. You can't have repeatable revenue. In fact, forget even this one. Just even this one is enough. Because how are you going to pay the person? At some point, to hook now, you need to be able to pay. And then you're expecting the person to come and fix it. When we're good, salespeople are good. We're not magicians. Don't come. And I tell people with my full chest, I can sell a bad product, but it's not all bad products I want to sell. Don't give me work. Okay? I hope people will go back and think, okay, I will be a better founder, a better CEO, a better business owner after this. All right, so what do we look for in his first sales hire? And I have another slide for this, but anyway. First thing I'm looking for is someone that's curious, somebody that will ask questions, somebody that the worst thing you can have in a salesperson that doesn't know, somebody that doesn't know the right questions to ask, somebody that you put them in front of the right person, you have the right products, and they still don't know how to ask the questions to know that the person needs what you're selling. And an example of this is not just curiosity, because it's not just about selling what you have. So, case in point, we were selling to, what were we even selling? Some software solution. And we went to head of naval docks somewhere in Apapa. And the man kept going on and on about how his CCTV was a problem. He said CCTV at least 5 times. What does that mean? Uncle is not going to hear my software solution till I sell that to this CCTV. What did I do? I call my Oga. Hello, sir. Do you have CCTV to sell? Do you have a friend that can sell? Yes, we do. No problem. We solve the problem. That's it. You have to have someone that can ask the right questions so that they will find the right answers. This thing, in this generation where everybody is tired, everybody's mental health is at stake. You can't be a salesperson. Do you know how many no's? Do you know how many no's? Do you know people will just ignore you? You will call somebody, I saw somebody yesterday at Art of Technology. The way the guy hugged me, commissioner for Lagos, some innovation commissioner. The way he hugged me, you will not believe that the last email this man replied me was January 13th. I had to check my phone today. The way he hugged me, you think, we spoke last week. You say, lie, he has been ignoring me since January 13th. So that resilience is necessary. If your salesperson cannot bounce back, it can take 2 weeks for the person to recover from one no. And that no can shock you. My mentor always tells me a story of end of year. She used to be with IBM. End of year, end of financial year, not end of December. You know, financial year differs for a lot of OEMs. End of financial year, they had a big deal from Access Bank. It was like, I shouldn't be saying the name, but anyway, one of these big banks. And like 2 days before end of year, the deal didn't go through. The person in charge, he just said, we're not doing it again. She said she had VPs coming in from Spain to come and close as in that kind. This was the deal to make the year. And that was it, gone, nothing. So when I say, I met up with this person, she's like, he's not dead. Literally. She's that pained. This is what, maybe 6 years later. She's still pained. Like, he destroyed my financial year. This thing, if you don't have it, anyway. Coachability. If your sales team cannot listen to you talk or feedback, or they don't want to learn, you're wasting your time. If you have a coconut head salesperson and the person is still not selling, it's even if the person is selling, they do worry to the answer. But the one that they're not selling and they still have coconut head, fire the person. I'm telling you. Builder mindset. I was just telling somebody I was sitting next to. If you were listening to the last panel, Iyajuni was talking about how we, instead of complaining about the potholes, we narrate a whole story about how the potholes. That's a builder's mindset. That's someone that say, this is a problem, but don't worry, we can find a way to the answer. If you have somebody that they only see this thing is red, I cannot see it as pink, is a problem, because it means the person is not flexible. The person will not know that when someone is saying, I want to buy CCTV, let me solve the CCTV, then I can solve my software problem. You need somebody that has a builder mindset, builder mentality. This is what you should look out. This is a red flag. They're only sitting down waiting. If you have people that sit down in the office waiting for sales, it's a red flag. If they're not ready to go out. At first, when I started working with the startup I'm with, my boss used to say, Hanasu, you're always everywhere. You know, I can try to say, Auntie, calm down now, sit down and do work. Till I started to bring leads from going out. Till people started calling her to come and be on TV. Then she realized, okay, this girl's outside is with sense. If you don't have someone that is going outside, and unless it is you're a back end, you're a builder kind, you maybe are building software, hey, maybe you don't need to market. But if you are selling a product, and even at that safe, I don't know any salesperson that is only waiting for the deals to come in. It doesn't make sense to me. If they need structure, if somebody cannot work in a chaotic situation, that person can sell for you. Because it means if things go south, then they're confused. Two of you now be confused together. Or they say, I must close at all costs, instead of learning what the market is saying. If you don't have a salesperson that can bring feedback back to you, you have a problem. The person should be able to bring feedback and say, products team, this is what we're seeing in the market. This is what the industry is saying. This is the policy. Every day my husband is always shouting, have you seen the new policy? CBN governor, have you seen this? Have you seen that? If you don't have someone that is saying what is the policy saying in this market or in this country, how is it affecting us? Then the person can be a good salesperson. The person will not close well for you because they're not flexible enough to adapt to the situation. I was going to say, what do you consider, but because network, but what do you think is the most important thing? And maybe, I don't know if we'll take a picture and later you can scan it, and maybe we should do that. Take a screenshot, and then when you're free, if you can scan it and let me see the results. But it's just asking, what do you think is the most important thing, or what are you looking for in your salesperson? Is it flexibility? Is it someone that dresses well? Because that's another thing. Some people need shine bubble. Are we done? So if we're building a high-performing sales team, these are the 3 things you should be looking out for. And I'm going to talk about just 2. We're almost done, I promise. Hire for attitude. Attitude is key. If you don't have and I don't mean the person has to be sucking up to you, no, but just somebody that is polite, because the person can go and embarrass you outside. So hire for attitude, not just aptitude or experience. Have you noticed that a lot of companies now, they ask for things outside your job description? How are you volunteering? When I used to work with telco, I remember they came up with something during KPIs. They said it's not just the what score. What is she sold five lines. She did this thing. She brought in this amount of revenue. They brought out the house score. House score is attitude to your leader. How do you work with the team? Collaboration. Because some people will just be flying high with what they can. If it's numbers, they're good, but their behavior. I had a team member. Before I used to call him, before I would call him on the phone, I would literally say, Holy Spirit, let this boy pick up. Because you can be in the middle of a meeting with your SVP in Dubai, and they'll say, call this person, let's hear about this thing. Hell, if you call him, he won't pick. He won't pick. And there's nothing you can do. And he says, Anat, I'm sorry. Boss, I'm so sorry. Of what use is it to me? And everybody knew. And they told him, this is why we can't promote you, because your attitude is horrible. That's why you see people that they're superstars, but they can't promote them because they're just badly behaved. So attitude, always remember, attitude is key. We talked about your processes, your playbooks, your tools that you're using, your deal stages, and that's a whole different conversation. You should understand your pipeline stages. This is the product. This is how we get customers, or this is how we get leads. This is how we qualify our leads. This is how we do this. This is how they will either close, win, or close, lose. So the whole pipeline stage. And then performance. How are you setting your KPIs? How are you tracking? How are you making sure that people are doing what you paid them to do? Because that's something I'm struggling with, even as a sales leader. I have a team member. I have to just create something because we're selling to governments. You can't. It's hard to track. Today we talk. 2 weeks we've not talked. So him too is just there as he's doing all of us. So I say no. I need actual repeatable steps from you, even if they're not answering. Let me know that you are trying. Retaining superstars, and this is where we struggle. A lot of banks have lost major players because they're just, I don't know. You hear of a bank that you're trying to sell to them, we don't have the resource. Why? The person Japan didn't tell us. Then they have to probably get the person back on contract basis and pay the person to explain what the person has been working on, because they were ignoring the person all year. The guy got up one day, left, and then nobody knows what he was doing because they were treating him badly. I know so many people like that. And then they have to pay him on contract basis to come and explain what he was doing that they should have been following up with. People stay because you celebrate them. I know people think it's money. It's not money. It's not. Most of the time, most of the time. It's not really money. That whole recognition, knowing that I put in the work and you said, well done, a lot of people can say for that too. Some people leave high-paying jobs because I beg, I cannot come and kill myself for my mother. You trust them, and it's a very hard thing. I always tell people, I say, I can't work with my husband. One of us will kill ourselves. Probably me, kill him, because he's a micromanager. I can't stand it. I just don't understand. I feel sorry for his team sometimes. And he knows what he's doing. He's a good boss, but but people like having autonomy. They like knowing that you trust them to a certain degree. But let's go back on that trust. I didn't say you should trust and abandon your company. Come and say Anatu said. People like to know what's the plan. I'm one of those people. I love to. What is the plan? Where are we? This thing you said. Where are we? Where's the end game? Where are we to go? If I don't know the plan, I'm not really sure about it. The culture, strategy. Have you heard this thing? Strategy is called culture is strategy for breakfast. See, you can plan all you want. You can sit down and do retreats from now to kingdom come. If you have a bad culture and the head rots from the fish rots from the head, it will always come down. When they anoint people in the Bible, is the head. It will run down. Strategy is a waste of time if your culture is bad or if you have toxic people. You risk turnover if your pay is unfair or clean. You have situations where you have two sales team members and one person is getting higher than the other. Why? Because the other person is your uncle's child. Why now? There's no developmental plan. There's no growth plan. They don't know what's next. Are you just going to keep me here forever? And same thing, we talked about culture. Your office is toxic. And this toxic thing, be very guided, because if your office is toxic, that means you are toxic. Just accept it. So as we round up, as we start to wrap up, how many people need to hire right now? Who are you hiring? Define one sales hire you need in the next 12 months. So we're entering 2026. What's the one person you need to hire? People are looking at me. Right, sit down. You have phone. I'm going to do it for 5 minutes. What's the role? I think I want people to just tell me, what role do you need to hire? What skills must person have? What are you planning on doing that to make sure that they will succeed? So who has somebody they need to hire? Anybody? Yes, sir.
I want to hire someone who has a good skill on plantain chips making, so that it will be able to pass the NAFDAC process and all of that.
So it's not a salesperson you need right now. No.
After that, I also need a salesperson also.
First, you need somebody that can make plantain chips. Thank you. You need someone that can actually make plants. So you need a production. I'm worried of saying production manager. No. It's not a production manager. But you need somebody that can actually create the thing. Isn't that a production man? Who is in FM? Who is in manufacturing? I was going to say. What does he need? No, but what do you produce?
In my own business, okay, I have a bakery and I
Uh-huh,
have a
perfect.
water plant. So for my bread, of course, I'll need bakers. We have master bakers. We have some that are just bakery assistants that disguise themselves as bakers. So in his own case, I really don't know what they call.
You need a master plantain chip maker.
Okay, maybe you should give it.
That's true now.
Yeah, that's what
you need. You don't need a salesperson. You need
not
a
a
master,
salesperson.
somebody that has done it. And God forgive me, you might need to poach somebody. Actually, you don't even need to poach somebody. You can see Ibadan. Actually, what you need to think about. Where's that state that they sell plantain chips on the road? We all buy.
About Dodokiri or
Is not the same, Abi? It's not the
Dodokiri
same.
is different.
No, but they sell plantain chips around that side now on the road. Because anytime I go into Ekiti, I know I always beg for plantain chips. My husband doesn't agree.
Ikire makes dodo.
Oh, okay.
Dodokiri, but it's not.
So it's not the same.
It's not.
Maybe, but either way, find one of those localities that we always buy plantain chips, or buy plantain chips on the road, and tell them what's up, what's going on in your business. Sometimes we just need to humble ourselves and remove CEO cap and realize that you need to go and learn with somebody else. And maybe, just maybe, you may be able to steal somebody. I didn't say you can steal. Don't say it's me. All right, so at least you have an idea. So you know the role now, master plantain chip maker. The person may not have NAFDAC experience, so that's something you need to be mindful. You might be looking for too much. You might be saying, I want somebody already established. Can you afford the person? The person might not, and then how many people know the NAFDAC process? So that's a whole different conversation. Yes, ma'am.
I'm sorry.
No problem.
Just about the NAFDAC thing. There's actually nobody that can help you keep up with the NAFDAC standards. That's all you. You just need someone that can fry it well. What NAFDAC needs to know that will make you pass is the source of your water, the facility that you have. You have to have a place where you can show that this is the staff entrance where they change. Like when they're coming from outside, they're not wearing that shoe. That's just so the person frying has nothing to do with NAFDAC. For the NAFDAC certification, it's all you. You're the one that will put the process in and the stuffs in place. The person just needs to know how to fry, and then you can give them samples, and NAFDAC could do the test.
Fantastic. All right. So we solve that problem, and we know the skill. The person needs to be able to fry dodo, cut plantain. The person actually should be able to even know the kind of plantain, because there's a company, my friend, every time she's coming in or anytime anybody's going to the US, she has her very specific order: ripe 6, unripe something, and they will tell me, oh my, we don't have ripe, we don't have unripe. They literally tell me we don't have this in stock. So the person needs to know plantain. It sounds silly because in our minds, fry plantain and be going, right? And then what do you need to give the person to succeed? We need to think about that so that the person doesn't come and then you're thinking, why aren't you doing what I hired you to do? Do you understand? So what enablement do you have to give that person that is frying plantain to do? So you need to give them a factory, or at least a room they can cut the plantain. You need to give them a sharp knife. You need to give them regular plantain supply. That's something you need to think about as well, right? It seems very serious, but it's really very basic and fundamental. Okay? Anybody else? Hiring? Yes, sir. Where's the other mic?
Okay, so there's a real tea company that I started, and because I won't say it's a side hustle, but it's part of my line of work, but it's just like another business line, right? So what I have needed is I've been doing it myself, right? So I mean, just bootstrap. I mean, generate leads and all of that, and there's been a lot of business coming in. But because I have another obligation, which you may know, I've been thinking of bringing somebody on board, right, to teach some of the things I'm doing, and then just sell as well, and keep communication line with the people that are buying properties and stuff like that. So that's a role I've been looking for, and maybe it's at a point where I think the business can absorb somebody, but the qualities and the attributes that I should look out for are things that I'm still putting together. So that's a role I'm looking to get. So somebody that can actually also maintain communication lines and keep relationships. So I think those are key things I'm looking out for.
Business development, more or less. And we've realized that there's that overlapping nowadays, because I had a business development manager. She was brilliant at following up. She's not a closer. So you have to understand that you need an opener, somebody that can get the leads, somebody that can close the leads, and then the business development is the middle. The person that literally, what's up, Oga? I just want to check on you. Did you know it's this guy's birthday yesterday? I just want to say, I saw your birthday on the news. That's it. So what you need is a business development manager for now, because you might still end up closing, right? One of the challenges we have is that we don't specify the role. Have you noticed? No offense to both of you, but you guys, we all kind of circled around. The name is what you need. Because when people say, oh, just today, two people have told me, oh, Hannah, I'm looking for this role. The minute I say, send me JD, because you didn't specify the role. Once you have the name, ChatGPT, this is my business. I need a JD for this role. Do you understand? So it's something you need to leave. It's something we need to learn to specify. Then you can now start to say, okay, what skills does the person need? What do I need to give the person to succeed? So in your case, we even need to talk about that. But business development role, you just need somebody that's hungry. Insurance, people that are insurance, very hungry. Because if you can sell insurance, you can sell anything. It's just the issue is, I'm telling you, it's just that I can't afford the person. Do you understand? But if you can sell insurance, it's Nigeria. What's our insurance? Blood. How many people have insurance? Well done. Well done. Are you proud? Right. Insurance in Nigeria is blood of Jesus. And so if you can sell it, you can sell anything, really. So, key takeaways, I promise you guys will be quick. Hire when you have repeatable demand. Hire when you can repeat the sales process. Your first hires need enablements, meaning they need something to succeed. They are not magicians. Do not give them numbers when you have not given them anything to succeed. It's wickedness. Sales requires people, process, and performance. We talked about this. We didn't talk about these two, but this is the main thing we're looking at: the people you are looking for. And honestly, there are people here. I know it seems all doom and gloom. Trust me, it looks like all doom and gloom to me sometimes. But there are people that are hungry and are well behaved enough to look for a job, or at least you can give them a job. Culture eats strategy for breakfast. If you have a badly behaved company, you have badly behaved people. It's very simple. There's no up and down about it. And you may hire wrong, and it's okay. It's okay if you learn to understand that if I hire the wrong person and nothing, it's to fire the person now. Unless you're like me. I try to give people a lot of chances, but if you need to fire the person, don't kill yourself. Understand that your business is a life and death situation. There are people that are feeding from your business, unless you have inheritance somewhere. But there are people that are feeding, so you can't afford to have wrong people in your business, spoiling the other team members. One bad egg spoils the rest. So it's okay to hire wrong. Accept it, move on. Sales success is 20% strategy. The rest of it is this. This one, it takes 2 days. Abi, company retreat is 2 days for the whole remaining 363 days. So a lot of it is just how you're executing and how you consistently able to execute on what you do. Okay. Oh, what happened? Okay, so ignore this. I have a free workbook I'm going to send out, but you need to send me an email. And then you can follow me on LinkedIn or Instagram. Feel free to do that. This one network is bad. Don't know how to, but feel free to follow me on LinkedIn, on Instagram. I've started playing around my Instagram more and talking about B2B sales. Very interesting to see. If you follow my stories, I'm not serious on my stories, but I'm serious I'm serious in my posts. So yeah. And then thank you. That's it. That's really it. Thank you very much. Can you see that's what I was supposed to put before? My email is visible sales leader. The Visible Sales Leader. So THE, let me see. I don't want to touch this thing. The Visible Sales Leader. But if you know what? If you just connect me in any of these, and then we can sort that because it's very long. The Visible Sales Leader at gmail.com. And then I'll send you a free playbook. Thank you very much. Any questions? I didn't ask. We were just throughout now, so you don't have any questions. Thank you so much for coming, guys. Thank you. Please go and have your lunch.